Hello everyone, this is my abstract for my essay topic, which is APIs, or Application Programming Interfaces. And there are two basic types of APIs. So I'm going to go over the first one right now. So the first one is basically a means of which that you can get data from another application into your application, usually which is a set of functions or routines that you can use. So for one of my projects in this class was called Drive Browser, and that's basically it was basically an app where it took a Google Access token and displayed to you all of your Google Drive files and gave you an option to download them if you clicked on it. So let's say my app here is Drive Browser. So when you gave it the access token, it would then send a request to Google, which is their app right here. When the when the request got to Google, it would then go through its database and pick out all of the files that had me as the author or whoever gave the access token. What it would then do with this is it would send it back in the form of JavaScript object notation or JSON. And what my app would then do is parse through that, find all of the file names, put it into a list viewer, show it to the user, and if they clicked on that, it would then go back into the data, pull out the download link, and supply it to the user. So that's just one quick example of an API. So again, it's just a means of which that a third-party app could get data from another app. So now the other type is where you can use an API to modify an existing application. And that's actually what I'm going to showcase to you today, because I haven't really done any professional or well-done things with the other form of the API, just because that's how it is for now. So my application that I modified was Minecraft. So if you're familiar with the game, then you know that it's just a game where you basically just go in, place blocks, kill monsters, and play with friends, right? But that might seem a little boring after a while. I mean, how many things can you build, and how many things can you just do in Minecraft with those limited amount of features? What if you want to fly? What if you want to build 10 blocks at a time? Just add all these things. So the reason you can do those now is thanks to an API, which is called the Spigot API. So this is what it looks like over here. And it's written using the Java programming language. And Java is like App Inventor, only it's text-based, not block-based, and it has a lot more functionality to it, I would say. So let's go. Now, basically, these are all just the classes and different things inside of their Java stuff. So now let's go into the game here, and let me show you this. So my modification to this app was called Virtual Shop. So what it allows people to do is take items in their inventory and sell them on a virtual market. So for example, I could do /sell one stone brick, that's the name of this item, for maybe I want to sell it for $50 each. Sell it. Now let me confirm that. This is another feature I added. And there we go. It's broadcasted to the server because I already had one for sale, so I added one to my current listing, and I have two for $50 each for sale. And what other people can do is say, oh, look at that, 2 stone brick for $50 each, what a bargain, and buy it up using a buy command. But I'm not going to show you that right now. So basically the way this is possible is using the Spigot API, because I cannot just write code and have it magically appear in Minecraft. I need to utilize a set of methods and functions to get this into Minecraft. So let me show you that now. So if you go down here, you could see there are a bunch of different things, like gas, that's a monster in the game. Let's see, go down, netherwarts, that's an item. Events, plug and teleport event. These are all things that occur in the game, and this is things that you can modify. So we go into the application's code, and we can see that I'm making use of functions provided inside of the API. So let's take a look at one of these functions. So the one I want to showcase to you really is command executor, because that allows me to add a new command to the game. And just in case you didn't notice before, the command I added, or one of the commands I added, was /sell. So there we go, /sell. That's basically a command. So right now, what I'm going to showcase to you is the code for /stock. So we go into the command executor, and I don't expect you guys to know about Java, but basically, in Java, an interface means that you have to use the method that's provided inside of it. So let's go into the code here. And we can see that I'm using a command executor, implements command executor. So that means I have to use this method on command. And what this basically does is it provides instruction for what to do once the user types in a command. And earlier on in the program, I set it so that this would only be called if user typed in /stock, but I'm not going to show you that right now. So now let's go into this. So it has a bunch of checks here to make sure that the sender can actually use this command. And then it goes down to the execute thing right here. And what stock does basically is it goes into the database and it finds all of the items on the market and it'll display it to the user. And if you write it with a name next to it, it'll show you all the stocks for that item or the items for that item. So let me show you that now. So we go in here, type /stock, and let me put my name, which is the Kraken7. So I can show you all my items. So these are the items for sale I have. So I have one sapling for $10 each, one chest for $10 each, 5 nether star for $1 million each. Yep. And yeah, there's a second page too, because that's one of the features I added to it. And so yeah, that's all the stock. So the way it does this is it goes into here, goes through the database, which let me show you that also. I'll show you that in a moment. And it'll go through it, find all my items, and display it to me. And you might be thinking to yourself, well, how does this code know to send it to this person, send the message to this person? Well, it's all just part of the API's functionality. So it'll know who to send it to because it takes the argument who sent it, which is a command sender. So think of this as this sender here is who sent it. And that's me. I'm the player. I sent it. I sent the command. So what it will do is it will take this sender right here, and then it'll just work with the plugin with this person. So we go down here, take sender, send it down to this execute thing right here, go all the way down, and at the end, once it's all done, you see we're taking sender and we're sending him a message, which is the stock thing, which was all done earlier. So this is basically one application of this API. And in general, this is how most APIs or modding APIs work anyway. The ones where you take data from other applications is slightly different, but generally the same idea. You have a bunch of these classes defined, and you just use those. So here we go. Okay, so now let's go back into here and let me show you the database. Go into here, and it should be under desktop. Go to that. Blind right now. Okay. Gotta find the thing, virtual shop. There we go. All right. So now this database right here, there are two different types of databases you can use. I'm using a flat file database because it's free and you don't have to host it and everything, but yeah. So I'm opening it up with this database browser. So the way databases work, I'm just going to go into slightly a little bit so that you know what you're looking at, is that just basically tables of data. So you can see here I have two tables, stock and transaction. This is actually a little outdated version of the database because right now I have a confirm table which will list if you have to confirm the plugin or not, but yeah, this works fine. Now let's go into the stock table because that's basically what our plugin /stock does. It goes into the stock table and checks everything. So browse data, and here we're in the stock table. Now you can see it has a bunch of different parameters. Like it takes the seller who's selling the item, takes the item ID, which is just how the actual game tracks the items. It doesn't have something called like stone brick, where it can just go in and say, oh, that's a stone brick. It has an actual ID associated with it. And the price and the amount that's being sold. So this is all stored inside of here. So when you do /stock, for example, it goes into here. It gets data from the database, which is done inside of this code. And then it goes into onto the server and displays it to you. So /stock and does all that in a fraction of a second, millisecond time, because that's how quick computers are. All the stuff that we just explained does instantly, seemingly. So yeah, so it'll show you all of the stuff inside of this database. Well, not this database, because this, as I said, this was outdated, but that's the general idea. We go to different pages, view all the things in there. We have 3,962 sand for $1 each. A bunch of nice things like that. So this is a application modding API, essentially. So if I wanted to turn this into a, for example, one of those APIs that I talked about earlier, a possible application of that would be to maybe to make a website where you can view all of the items on the market. So instead of having to go in game and type in, stock, I don't know, check this guy, Trooper. Okay, this guy only has 64 dirt for $10 each. Instead of going onto the server and doing that, we can maybe make a website and say, okay, this is the Atlas Network server website, and now you want to check to see how much or what items this guy has for sale. This guy would be just a parameter you would give, a name. So then you would type that in, and then it would query this database here and say, okay, let's go down. So how many items does this guy have? Let's go through the sellers. Okay, here's him, Trooper 11145. Go into here. Okay, he has 3 for sale. I don't know what ID that is off the back of my head right now, but he has 64 of those for sale at $10 each, and it would show that on a website. So that would be a way to do it. I would have to create an API inside this plugin where you can do like get items per player or something, something that can be sent out, all secure by the way, over encryption, and just displayed on the website. So this might be a little hard to visualize in your head right now, so let me just give you a quick little example of one that already exists. This one uses the Steam API, and basically what it just does is it gathers a bunch of data about a Steam user and displays it to you. So I'll show you the data for one of the highest level guys on Steam, which is Palm Desert right here. So get disappointed in your life because they're trying to make jokes here. All right, so here we go. It shows a bunch of data about this guy on Steam. So it'll say, okay, look, this is the total price of all of his games on Steam. He has $39,000 worth of games on Steam. And now they're saying, okay, we keep all the records for the lowest prices of these games ever with sales. So if he bought these all at the lowest prices they could ever be, then he would have only spent $11,000. So either way, he spent a lot of money on this. And then it also shows a bunch of different things, like how many games owned, average price per hour, probably just divides the total price by the hours on record. He has 11,000 hours on record, which by the way is over a year of time, counting day and night. And then you can go down, you see a bunch of other things. Like you can see all of his games. So he has 4,666 games. Doesn't match that. So something's probably wrong there, but all right. And you could sort it by a bunch of different things, like the time played. So I don't know how long it'll take to filter this because he has a lot. Looks like pretty quick, but yeah, it'll show you. There we go. So it'll show you that with Left 4 Dead 2, for example, he has 942 hours on record, and it'll show you what the reviews on this game are, or how nice the reviews are on this game. So 97% of the people who reviewed this reviewed it positively. And price per hour, this just divides the total price by the time played, and it just collects a bunch of different stats, basically. Now just imagine yourself on a website like this, only it's using my virtual shops data. So you can type in, this will not exist most likely, but say we type in Trooper 11145. Error here because there's no Steam ID with that, but imagine it'll just pop up with a nice page, just like Palm Desert. So let's go back to Palm Desert just for example. All right, and so it'll say, okay, he has $10,000 worth of items on the market. He has maybe 8,000 items on the market. And then it'll show you all the items maybe down here, for example, like 10 stone brick, 10 diamonds, 10 dirt, just a bunch of different things. That would be using an API if I were to make an API for my plugin. So yeah. I hope that cleared things up a little bit. There's a little more explanation in my essay, so be sure to read that. And yeah, this is my artifact for application programming interfaces, which is API for short, or API for long, the real API. You know what I mean.